Hotep, Alafia, Kamusta. Welcome to the Mind of Ro page. I am Faju Junde Oguna Salamio. Today I'm going to make a video on how to practice mindfulness. The last video I made was on fallacies. If you're not sure what a fallacy is, it's a mistaken belief, it's faulty reasoning, and it's a technique to mislead an argument. So if you like that kind of stuff, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Mind of Ro. I also have a TikTok, an Instagram, and a Twitter at Mind of Ro. And I also have a Facebook business page at The Mind of Ro. And I also do readings. So if you would like a reading, go ahead and message me and shoot a comment or private message me on Facebook, because I do it over video chat, either on Facebook or on Instagram. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and set an appointment with me. So first off, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is basically where you focus on being in the moment and aware of your senses and feelings without any judgment. So why would you practice mindfulness? Well, because we tend to do a lot of self-sabotaging when we're not mindful of the way we are reacting in life. So it's a lot more productive for us to respond to life instead of react to life, because a good majority of our actions is actually based off of our subconscious beliefs and thoughts versus our conscious beliefs and thoughts. So the best way to gain more control of your actions, so you're just not reacting out of things and you're more responding to things, it's good to do mindful techniques. So I'm going to list some mindful techniques that you could use to help you exercise your brain so you could be more mindful of yourself. Number one is the most common mindful technique, which is noticing your senses. The best time to do that is either in the morning or at night. If you have sleeping problems, and doing it at night will definitely help you relax your mind a lot more. So basically what it is you're going to list all your senses and you're going to be mindful of them. For example, you could start out with your sight. So you could basically look around your area and just be really mindful and be in the moment. And when you notice your brain going to other thoughts, as in trying to think about the past or worrying about tomorrow, it's a basic technique to be like the mountain and allow those thoughts to feel like clouds. So when you see a thought go by your mind, when you're supposed to be focusing on something else, you're simply going to just notice it, and then you're just going to push it away like a cloud. And then you're going to return back to your focus. For example, you could sit in your room and just notice things like, oh, there's a bed there. There's the wall, there's a corner. You might even notice something that you never noticed, like a crack in the corner that you've never noticed. Maybe you'll notice that some of your carpet is a little crooked. Maybe you'll notice something in a picture that you never noticed before. Just take the time to scan your area. Maybe you could even scan your body. Maybe there's a mole on your body that you never noticed. Maybe you could look at your hair, look at your nails, and just take the time to notice things and be one with your sight without judging it in any way. And also notice smells. Notice, does your blanket smell like detergent? Does your blanket stink? How does the room smell? How does the breeze smell when it comes through your window, when your window is cracked open? Things like that. Be mindful of the taste in your mouth. Can you taste something you ate the day before? Did you just get finished eating some candy and you still have it in your mouth? Maybe there's toothpaste. Maybe there's a metal kind of taste in your mouth. Things like that. And then what you want to do is you just want to simply notice. You want to get to the habit of not judging it. Don't judge yourself. If your mind wanders, don't freak out and be like, oh my God, I can't focus, because then it kind of goes against the purpose of mindfulness. So it's okay for your mind to think and wander. That's what the brain is for. It's perfectly normal. Don't give yourself a hard time. You're simply just going to sit and just notice things and take the time to just give yourself the permission to just be with yourself for a moment. Be one with your senses. Listen to sounds. Maybe you could hear yourself breathing. Maybe you could hear your heartbeat. Maybe you could hear your kids' voices and footsteps upstairs. Or maybe you could hear a dog barking outside, or a car going by, birds chirping, crows cawing, a horn far away. Just pay attention to all the senses. Just sit for a moment and just think of all the senses that you have, even your feelings. When I say feelings, I don't mean your emotions at this time. I mean like your actual physical feelings. Maybe what does the weight of your body feel like laying on the bed or sitting in the chair? What does your blankets feel like? I notice when I wake up in the morning, especially when I don't want to get up, my blankets feel extra warm and comfy. Always when I don't want to get up, right? You just notice these things, and it teaches mindfulness. It teaches you to be in the moment without judging yourself, without judging anything around you, and just being there, noticing you're here, you're on earth, and you're in your room, or you're in your living room, and it's okay to just be in that time without trying to rush out of it. So if you do decide to spend some time with your own senses, try not to rush out of it. Don't want to hurry up and be like, oh my God, I hurry up and get out. So give yourself some time when you decide to do it, to know that you're actually going to give yourself a moment without rushing through it. If you know you have time to do it, then just do it, without rushing yourself. It even would be good to just set a 5-minute timer. Everybody has 5 minutes, so I don't want to hear anybody say, I don't have time. It could literally take 5 minutes. You could be like, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to be with my senses. And you could set your timer on your phone, so you don't have to stare at the clock and knowing that your phone will go off in 5 minutes, and you could give yourself permission for those 5 minutes before the timer goes off to just sit with your senses with no anxiety, no worry, just you. The next technique, number 2, is to go outside in wilderness and observe. So I don't know about you, but I live in the city, and it tends to be very, very fast here. Everything is on the go. Everything, you got to go from here to here. You got to go to work. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you eat breakfast, you go to work, you get gas, you come home, you clean the house, you go to sleep, and it's all over. It's repeated, and you go, and then on the weekends, it's the same routine. You clean the house, you do laundry, you take the kids to the games, and you come back, you make dinner, you clean up the kitchen, you go to bed, and you wake up, and you do it all over again. So sometimes it's good to go to wilderness and notice the things that you never noticed. Maybe if you have a park near your home and it's close enough for you to walk to it. And take the time to walk there and notice things. Notice the people walking by you. Notice the way it feels for the cement to hit the bottom of your tennis shoe. Notice how it feels when the breeze blows through your hair. Notice things that you typically would usually not notice when you're rushing. A lot of times when we're rushing to work and we're rushing to drop the kids off, we're rushing to see the spouse and all that kind of stuff, we tend to miss a lot of things. We didn't pay attention to that rose bush, that beautiful flower tree that grows in the corner down the street. We've never noticed that business that we could have been stopping. And maybe there's a restaurant we pass by every day. We could have been going there. We didn't notice it was there. Maybe we're passing by a park that we didn't even realize was there because we weren't paying attention, And then once you get to the wilderness, like say you go to a park or you go walk some trails in the forest, watch everything. I don't know about you, but I've done shrooms in the past, and there's something about doing shrooms that really makes you pay attention to things. So when you go out in the forest, in the wilderness, you're going to do as you would if you were on drugs, and you're going to actually pay attention and really appreciate everything you see. Take your time, go to the woods, walk a trail, lean over, pause for a moment. See a flower, look at every detail in the flower. You see a bee on the flower, watch it, pause and be innocent for a moment. Remember when you were little and you used to see bees on flowers and you used to be like, oh, look at the cute bee, or look at the cute squirrel, or look at this and look at that. And we forget to do that as adults. We get so serious and we take life so serious all the time. So it's okay to return back to that inner child. Go to wilderness, pay attention. Maybe you'll see a garter snake or a tree frog, and take the time to notice it. Notice things in the trees and don't rush through it. Don't go in like, oh my God, I have to go out in the wilderness. I'm just going to rush through it real quick and go home so I could feel like I did it. That's not practicing mindfulness. It's good to go and really be in the moment. Pay attention. Pay attention to the way you feel when you're in the forest. Pay attention to the way you feel when you smell the forest. Maybe pause and sit in a bench or on a tree for a while and notice and look up and see what's above you. Are there branches? Is there spiders, ants on the ground? Stuff like that. The things that we tend to forget exist in the world. Stop for a moment, go to wilderness and notice it. It helps you realize how alone you're not. Sometimes we forget we're not alone. Sometimes we think like, oh, everything's just about human nature. And we forget that there's so much more out there. We forget that there's bugs living their life, and there's animals living their life, and there's trees growing and they're living their life. We forget to stop and notice the crows and how smart they are. I notice them all the time. I go outside, I always pay attention to animals and how they are, and it helps me realize we're not alone. There's other things happening. Everything isn't about the government. Everything isn't about the pain we went through in our past. Everything isn't about, oh my God, what am I going to do about my future and my bills? Just take the time to go to the forest and pay attention and see how much there's so much more out there. Outside the human intellect, outside the city, outside the regular life. This is what mindfulness does. It takes us out of the area and the way of thinking that we're so conditioned to. Because the reason why we do this is because you're actually exercising your brain to get out of the box that it's in, get out of habit. Because a lot of times we habitually do the same thing over and over again in our life, get in the same bad relationships with the same type of people, go through the same annoyances at work, and go through the same rantings and getting upset and ranting about, I know I do it sometimes, ranting about things, having attitudes about things, being annoyed by things, because we're habitually doing it and we don't realize it until we step out of the flow and go in a different flow and tell your mind to do something else just for a moment. Tell yourself you're safe to think another way just for a moment. And it's actually a brain exercise. This is why a lot of meditations are based off mindfulness meditations, is because it's a brain exercise. A lot of people think to meditate you have to still your mind and quiet it. Not necessarily, because there is a meditation technique which is called mindfulness, where you don't turn your mind off. You're basically just being mindful of everything, which I'm going to do a video on that as well. So what you're doing when you do this is you're training your mind to do something different. Get out of the flow. Realize there's something else more out there other than the issues that we're facing today. Another technique I have, number 3, is notice your emotions. And this is, I know it's hard. I know we tend to run from our emotions. We want to smoke our emotions away. We want to drink our emotions away. We want to relationship our emotions away. I'm sure you know what I mean by that. Jump from relationship to relationship, or just get all lovey and wrapped up in somebody so you don't have to face your problems. It's good to focus on somebody else and be in love and get wrapped up in that kind of stuff and forget ourselves, Or we get wrapped up in our children. All we want to do is focus on our children. Which is okay, up to an extent. It can become toxic when we're not focused on ourselves, and while we are is focused on our family. So it's best to be aware of our emotions and being one with ourselves and being one with our own thoughts in our mind, and not get too wrapped up on all kinds of things that's outside of us, like our job and people we love and everything that we use as an excuse to avoid ourselves. Constantly staying busy, that's not productive. There's a lot of people who like to stay busy and everything they do isn't even productive at all, and they tell themselves it is, and it's a habitual habit, like how people want to shop and go shopping all the time. It's an addiction. It's a way to avoid our own thoughts. It's a way to get away from our emotions and not be one with it. So the third one, which is actually one of the most important mindfulness techniques, is being one with our emotions when we feel them coming up. And I'm not talking about just negative ones. I'm talking about all of them. When you're happy and excited, notice it. Like, just be one with it. Oh my God, I'm happy and I'm excited. Tell you that, know to be one with it. When you notice your emotions come up, just notice that you're being happy. And I know a lot of time we're probably like, well, we do notice it. Up to an extent. A lot of us, of course, we know when we're angry. Of course, we know when we're sad. Of course, we know when we're mad and all that kind of stuff. But do we really pay attention to why are we happy? And if you do have a moment where you're that happy, why are you that happy about it? Or if you're really angry, why are you that angry about it? And if you're really emotional, why are you really emotional about it? Or why are you really that sad about it? When without judging it. Because a lot of times the reason why we suppress our emotions and why we're not one with our emotions is because we're busy judging it. Like feeling ashamed of joy, feeling ashamed to be happy. Like, oh, I shouldn't be happy because I did something in the past. And this is why we need to be aware and mindful of our emotions, because that's an emotion that comes up when we feel ashamed to be happy, when we feel like, oh, I shouldn't be going out to have fun and smiling because I have so many things I have to do. These are things we need to be aware of and mindful of, because we could punish ourselves and sabotage ourselves and keep ourselves from everything that can make us happy and give us a fulfilled life, because we're not being mindful of these false beliefs that we have in regards to our emotions. So are you stopping yourself from being happy? Are you stopping yourself from being able to be angry? A good one is, a lot of us, toxic positivity has been going around a new age spiritual group, and I've made a video on this. I've mentioned it a couple times in my videos, because it teaches us to be ashamed of our anger. And a lot of times we have a right to be angry. This is why we need to be mindful of our emotions when anger pops up. Doesn't mean that we should lash out at the guy that works at 7-Eleven because we're angry at our spouse. Absolutely not. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't be angry. If we get angry about something, we're going to ask ourselves, what are we really angry about? Why are we angry about it? Is this real? Is this really happening? And then when we really sit with ourselves and really sit with our anger, we could really realize this is really something that's really wrong and needs to be handled, and it's not being handled, so I have a right to be angry about it. And sometimes we could realize, I'm angry about this because it reminds me of something my dad did to me back in the day. And this is why we need to sit with our emotions and really be mindful of our feelings and our emotions, and not only when we're angry, but also when we're happy, and when we're not letting ourselves be happy, or when we're sad and we're not allowing ourselves to be sad. Because just because you bury something, it doesn't mean that it's dead. It's inside of you. So these are the main mindful techniques that I would recommend for anybody to do. If you want to do the emotional mindful techniques, I would suggest to start out with the first two at first. And the reason why I would is because it exercises your brain and gets your brain ready to do the emotional one, the third one. So if you want to ease your way into it and you're kind of nervous, like I'm scared to be one with my emotions because I don't want something to creep up, then doing the simple first ones with being one with your senses, being one with the forest and the wilderness, and being observant about everything around you when you're in the forest or like at a park or something. Start with that first, because it's going to train your brain to be comfortable to be one with yourself and be comfortable with your own thoughts and emotions without you reacting to wanting to shut it down and just give up and not want to do it. So I hope these techniques helped you. It's helped me a lot. I've been practicing mindfulness. I discovered this. Well, not discovered it, but because you can't discover something that's already been created. But anyways, you know what I'm saying. I started practicing mindfulness over 10 years ago when I moved out of my home state and lived by myself for a while, and it's helped a lot. It helped me learn myself. It helped me figure out what I really want for myself and who I am as a person, and what I like and what I don't like, and gave myself permission to like what I like and not like what I not like. You know, when we practice mindfulness, we give ourselves permission to be ourselves and be one with who we are without judging ourselves. And it also teaches us to stop judging other people so much. It also teaches us toxicity and being more noticeable about that kind of stuff, so we could stop being toxic and stop associating with toxicity as well. It teaches us to do that. So I would advise anybody to do it. I mean, if everybody practiced mindfulness in this planet, this world would be a beautiful place. But obviously a lot of people are not practicing, and that's why it's a little chaotic when it comes to humans, I guess, not so much the wilderness. But I hope this helps you. If you use these techniques, go ahead and let me know how it works for you. My next video I'm going to make is going to be on a mindfulness guided meditation. I am a certified meditation instructor, so if you would like to watch that video, look out for it next week, and subscribe to my YouTube at Mind of Ro. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I have more wisdom and enlightenment to share with you. I hope everyone is having a mindful day. Ankh Ucha Seneb. Namaste. Odabo. Peace.